Okay, hey everybody. I'm gonna start working on another live demo where my focus is going to be on cleaning up a diplomatic transcription from raw OCR. And I've got two OCR texts of the same text, so I'll obviously also just kind of be working on aligning those texts, and so you'll see how that works. So let me go ahead and start sharing my screen, and we will take it from there. All right, so we should see. I'm going to divide the window in two, and away we go. So this is the Liber Sextus in the corpus of canon law. So I'm just going to zoom in here. And the first thing we need to do is just make sure the TEI header is up to date. We're going to be working in this text here. And I like to indicate at the top what page it starts on. So we're just going to do PB. We're going to use this FB indicator, and we're on page 473. And I also like to indicate what column it starts on. FB, and that's we call that column A. And I had this initial line breaks here when I OCR'd it, and I commented it out for time being. So I'm going to undo those comments because we're going to want that to record where all the line breaks are. Find all, replace all. So we've replaced all those, but it didn't quite have all of the ones we need. So that's why we need the text above to correct that stuff. So we're going to do a couple of things here. I make a distinction between the header that I want to use as catalog metadata and the header that's in the codex that we're making a diplomatic transcription of. So I want to make a couple adjustments here. We're going to move this title down because that's what's really in the text. Right, and we're going to paragraph there. And then we're going to use this as our canonical header. And I always use Arabic numerals. And we also want to capture that content subtitle for searching purposes. So I call that a header question title. And we're going to, so we use a real normalized standard for this to make everything normalize across the corpus, but we also preserve how it appeared in that particular transcription like we do there. So we got that, but these are also line breaks, so we're going to need to capture these and capture these. That's good. This is no, and then this is going to be the header for the entire division, but we've got here is chapter 1, and we're going to have another division here later for chapter 2, etc. So we've got another division here, and we're going to do the same thing. We'll bring this header up, and we're going to make a paragraph for that chapter, and we're going to keep it exactly as it looks in the text, but we're going to change this to a normalized capitulum 1. So now we've got both those captured. Paragraph here. All right, and this should have a line break. So should the chapter, that's a line. And that's a line, good. And I'm gonna do Control All and then a Command I to just get this indenting a little bit nicer here. This looks like it might be a long chapter because if it's a small text, that indent's not going to take very long, but if it's a long chapter, it's going to be a while. Pinwheel, pinwheel. Oh no. Pinwheel. Let's take a look at how long this is while we're here. Shouldn't be that long. Yeah, looks like a long one. Many chapters. Many chapters. So we're not going to get through all this in one live stream, but I'll give you an example. We'll do 20 minutes or so. There we go. All right. So you saw that took a while. It's got to process every line. Let's come back to where we were, and that's great. Looking better. All right, now we've got all this stuff from Johannes Andreas, and I'm not sure what to do with this yet, but I don't really consider it part of the main text. So I'm eventually going to comment this out and then move it to another text, but we certainly want to. But for the time being, we're going to auto number these line breaks. So I actually have to keep it in so I can get the correct number for the line breaks once I've got everything else. Then I'm going to go through and comment this out. And then later when I decide to make another text for this commentary, I'll move that to the correct spot. But for this time being, I'm going to leave this here. And I actually need to get the last line number from the previous text, 26. So the first line number here is going to be 27, and then we'll let everything else auto number itself. All right, so I consider this a reference and part of the canon. So I actually want to get rid of this paragraph, and I'm going to move the reference down here. Ref like that. That's Command E. Ref, and that's going to be a line break. That's a new line. Good. Statimus is a new line. We can also do a punctuation mark if we want to recapture these indents later. So it's not really about how it looks. I can always make it look like that, but I want to capture what it is. So this is the ref. Once I know this text a little better, we'll think of this as maybe a quote. But I also really want to use these section breaks here as different paragraphs. Smaller paragraphs are better. They help us chunk the text better, and we can always group them, and we are grouping this by chapter 1 here, so we don't need to keep it all in one paragraph. So we'll go 2, and we're going to break these. And I thought there was 2, just 2. Okay, good. And now we're at end there. So we're going to do a lot of this, and there's a lot of chapters, so this is going to take a long time. Let's go chapter here. We're going to make a new paragraph for capture that chapter 2, and this is going to become normalized to capitulum 2, Arabic numerals there. And we're going to comment this out eventually. This is going to be a reference. All right, and that item is going to refer to the above. So if we get to a reference that I can capture, I don't think I have. Well, we have this one, so I can show you how we do this. Let's see. Let's go here to Florilegia. Let's see if we have this. No, to canon law. Oh, let's start here. Canon law. This is Innocent Fourth Lateran Council, I think. Let's go in here. Let's see what we say here. Statuimus. So we can search that. Once we're focused on the text, we can search, and you can see that that's already going to restrict our search to that text. So let's just see. Statuimus. We'll back up here at the beginning of this. Statuimus. Looks like I only did a piece of this just to demo, so I don't really have this text actually. I have some certain parts of Canon 1. I think the real problem is that we've got a service issue. All right, we'll do that later. Let's come back here. Let's keep going. So what we'll eventually do is we'll call these quotations like this, right? And then they'll get a ref and so on. I'll do that later. So we're back at Edom. That was chapter 2, right? So we need to call this, delete that. This is our ref, new line. Quibus. I'm going to put this dash in here because I'm going to use those dashes to recombine these broken words automatically. So I'm not going to do that manually. And now we're at chapter 3, same thing. Let's move this down, cap 3, and normalize this to capitulum 3. This needs to become its own line. I think I might have missed a step here. This, we want to make sure that's a line because we're going to count that when we count lines. That needs to be a line. We're going to need to count that. And all right, normalized, new line. This needs to be captured as a line, pony tour. And all this I'm going to comment out, so I'm not going to do any work in there, but we do have a false paragraph here. When I first made these paragraphs, we used like line breaks in the raw OCR text to auto-generate paragraphs. And I did a pretty good job, and now we're kind of on the second step. This is going to be a ref. This is going to be deleted. And boom. I'm going to try to make this into smaller paragraphs by breaking it up. I might see someone's name here and just make sure I capture that for later. And we got a false paragraph here at the page break. So instead of a paragraph break, we want a page break. So let's copy this. And now let's change that to PB, and then we're going to move to page 474, and we know we're going to be in column A. And change that to an A. Okay, and then we're going to have a new line, always at the top of a new page. Now we can go there. All right, so like this is way too big. I don't want paragraphs crossing this many columns. So we're really going to try as hard as we can to break that down if there are obvious points to break. So I would say that's still too big, but that's good enough for the moment. We'll finish this one and we'll call that a session. Okay, we got this looks like a false break here, so let's see what happened. It's not at the column break, so just might be missing text. Let's see, looking for 5. No, section 5 is all the way over here. So this is our page break. We probably missed that column break earlier, so we'll keep going back and get that. So we're going to do again, page break. Now we're on 475. Page breaks are always, for me, the beginning of a page, not the end. So A. Line break. And we also need to note when it crosses the column. Part of the reason we do that is if we use the line breaks to show the images, and if a paragraph crosses a column, then we need 2 different images to represent the paragraph. So this is right above 3. So we need a page break, column break here, and this is going to be column B. All right, so now we're on the next page, and we can finish this one up. All right, we'd like to see that down there, and looks like we got a page break, and we're on chapter 4. So we'll just finish up with this one. And we'll move this below. And we got our line breaks in there, and we need to call this capitulum 4. So I think that's a good place to stop. Why don't I keep working on the end of this section, and then I'll do another live session for I'll do another video for when we get to the end of this and we auto-generate IDs for the paragraphs, auto-generate line numbers for the line breaks, and we start moving to the second text. All right, so that's it for now. I'll do another as a follow-up when I get some time.